Olivier Busquet and JC Alvarado are professional poker players with combined live tournament earnings of more than $8.8 million. And on an evening in late April, they decided to each put up six figures of that money on a mixed martial arts prop bet. Card Player TV was on site at the Syndicate MMA facility in Las Vegas to catch the fight. Before the two tapped gloves, we caught up with poker pro and MMA fighter Terrence Chan to get his thoughts on the whole situation.
I think it's so awesome. I'm super happy because I've sort of been the preacher for a long time about, poker players getting into stuff like that, at least starting to train. I mean, I'm not saying have a six-figure fight. That's certainly not what everybody needs to do. But just to round out lifestyle, I love the sport. I think it's awesome that the two guys who make a lot of money playing poker, they're high-stakes players that, took 6 months off and did this.
Chan has been working on a long-form audio documentary covering the story of this fight and everything that went into it. We asked him for more info on the project.
Sure, the working title, and we've changed it about 7 times, is All In or Knocked Out, and I'm a big fan of the podcast medium and the audio medium. I spend probably 30 hours a week listening to just pure audio, and I figured, the story, the fight itself, people who are interested, they're going to watch the video. It's not, but this isn't about the fight. The fight is as good a fight it's going to be. Maybe it's a great fight, maybe it's a terrible fight, but the story behind it is awesome. It's two guys who have very minimal training, putting up a six-figure sum. It's got crossover appeal. My cousin, who doesn't know the first thing about poker, thought this is insane. And all the MMA coaches that I've interviewed, JC's coaches, Olivier coaches, they all think it's nuts that they're getting out there and doing this. So I feel like this is a story that deserves to be told, and I'm sort of telling it in the manner which I'm most familiar with. I do the 2+2 poker cast, and I'm a big fan of the media. I have Ross, working, who's professional, producer, doing stuff like this. So we're going to put together, hopefully, a real high quality product.
Finally, we asked Chan for his thoughts on the matchup between Busquet and Alvarado.
I mean, honestly, I would say like 2 weeks ago, I was really big on JC, and then I went up to Liv's room and shook his hand in the elevator. I'm like, Jesus, this guy is big. And so it's like it scales that a little bit, and he's big. And also, I hear the coaches from both sides. I've heard a lot of stuff. I hear from Olivier's coach, he's beating purple belts and he's tapping out blue belts and all this kind of stuff. And then I hear the exact same thing on JC's side. JC's coach is like a black belt, man. He's catching me in submissions. And I think both of them are selling it a little bit, but nevertheless, I think both have some tricks up their sleeves, and I think they've both taken on to the sport really well. And this intensive skating champ, I think, has made them much more skilled than the average guy at 6 months. So I'm predicting a pretty good fight.
The terms of tonight's fight: there will be 4 5-minute rounds. If there is no winner determined at the end of those 4 rounds, we go to the scorecards. The scoring system is a must 10-9. If there is a tie at the end of 4 rounds, we go to a 5th 5-minute round. And now it's time for the main event.
The fight continued for 3 rounds, with the larger Busquet delivering the majority of the biggest strikes both on their feet and on the mat, where he spent much of his time on top of Alvarado, raining down blows as the lighter combatant tried to use his experience with grappling to get back into the mix. After the 3rd round ended, the medical staff was called in to assess Alvarado's wounds, which had left his face covered in blood and his left eye severely swollen. It's unclear who made the decision, but in the end the fight was called and Busquet was awarded the victory by TKO, winning the $150,000 that Alvarado had bet on the fight. We caught up with Busquet moments after he came out on top to hear his thoughts on the fight.
Well, the journey itself was just about kind of testing myself, finding out what I was made of, if I could handle something like this. I owe everything to the people who helped me, especially Tito Hartz, everybody at ECU, BBJ, MMA, whatever that shit is called. The Pitbulls, everyone I train with, I would have just gotten my ass kicked without them. I have so much respect for JC. I mean, he is so tough. If the situation were reversed, I might have given up way before he did. He is just, I mean, I came in bigger, stronger, and he knew I would be, and he still went through with it. He still lasted 3 rounds on the bottom most of the time, taking tough shots. I just have a lot of respect for him. I'm so relieved, thrilled, I can't believe it's over, that it ended like this. I don't really know what else to say.
Thanks for checking out this video. Stay tuned for more coverage of the poker world right here on Card Player TV.